What is up, YouTube? This is your host, Ranee B, here to spill that homicidal tea, and I ain't even gonna lie.
You're such a f***ing liar.
I wondered about whether or not I should even do this case, because once I was writing the script, I was like, it's just a little bit disconcerting reporting on, I don't know, a gang. But now I use the term reporting loosely, but I mean, I guess that's what you would consider what I'm doing here on YouTube.
Fake news.
You know, I'm so sick of that guy. Anyway, but when you cover stories related to gangs, I mean, I ain't gonna sit here and, just talk all sorts of smack on gangs. I mean, that retaliation ain't no punk. But you know who is a punk?
I'm a punk.
Yeah, exactly what he said. However, Wikipedia lets me know that I should be safe.
I'm in danger.
Apparently the gang that I'm going to be talking about disbanded in 1996. Phew! And Wikipedia always tells the truth.
Are you stupid or what?
Please also like and subscribe and share. And not with any gang members, though, that might want to be mad at me. But now that that's all out of the way, let's go ahead and get into this messed up case. It's the solved, multiple, effed up murders of Ronnie Lee Williams, leader or former leader of the drug trafficking ring known as the Miami Boys. On September of 1988, Ronnie Lee Williams...
That didn't take very long.
On September of 1998, Ronnie Lee Williams, the leader of the Miami Boys, it was a drug trafficking ring that ran from Miami to Pensacola. He had heard from other gang members that one of his Pensacola employees, Bruce Frazier, had just broken up with his girlfriend. And there were concerns that this chick would be one that would run to the cops and retaliate against Frazier by informing them about their drug ring's activities. Well, in light of all this drama that was ensuing, Bruce Frazier and Michael McCormick, he's a cohort of Bruce's, a street-level gang employee, they moved a safe containing drugs and money from the apartment used by the drug ring from Bruce Frazier's apartment to Michael McCormick's apartment. Shortly after the safe was moved, Ronnie Lee Williams called Bruce from Miami and instructed him that to get the money out that he owed him out of the safe from drug sales. I mean, every so often, sort of like if you worked retail whenever you were younger or whatnot, or if you still do work retail, there's every so often they like to empty their cash register tills. Well, I mean, it's the same thing. And the gangs, the management doesn't really like to have too much cash just sitting out there. So Bruce Frazier went to McCormick's apartment to get the funds. When Bruce got there, Michael McCormick told Bruce that both the money and the safe had been stolen.
Oh, well, isn't that convenient?
Well, Bruce looked around and he didn't notice any signs of forced entry. And Bruce was no noob to this game, okay? He knew that a smash and grab looks a certain way, and by the looks of things, it clearly had not happened here. So Bruce reported all of this back to Ronnie in Florida. Obviously, Ronnie was not having any of this crap. On September 18, 1988, Ronnie ordered 3 of his Miami-based employees, Timothy Robinson, Daryl Frazier, his brother of Bruce Frazier, and Michael Coleman, to go to Pensacola and recover the money and drugs that were stolen from Mike McCormick. Mike McCormick and Bruce Frazier met the 3 men from Miami at a hotel in Pensacola. From that meeting, the men came up with the idea that the safe just could not have been moved that far. So it was probably at the apartment next door, which was a friend of Mike's. The 5 men then obtained weapons from McCormick, then went and broke into McCormick's neighbor's apartment looking for the missing safe, money, and drugs. Darlene Crenshaw, Amanda Merrill, Derek Hill, and Morris Alfonso Douglas were all inside of that apartment when the men broke in. Mildred Baker, McCormick's girlfriend, was brought in from next door soon after. The 5 men ordered Derek Hill, whose apartment it was, Amanda Merrill, Morris Douglas, and Mildred Baker to strip off all of their clothes and get down on the floor where they were bound and gagged. The 5 men started brutally questioning them about the whereabouts of that safe and the money and the drugs. Well, the whole group stayed silent. No one said anything. Nobody answered any questions. Timothy Robinson was over it. He took out a knife and just started wailing on Derek Hill, stabbing him in an effort to get the others to start talking. Darlene Crenshaw, she freaked out. She started screaming for them to stop and that she knew where the safe was and that Michael McCormick was actually involved in the theft. After hearing this, the four men turned on Michael McCormick and forced him to undress and get down with the others. He was tied up along with the others, and they started stabbing Michael McCormick. Bruce and Daryl Frazier took Darlene Crenshaw to her apartment where the safe, money, and drugs were hidden. The Frazier brothers recovered the stolen goods and returned to Hill's apartment, leaving Darlene Crenshaw alive, presumably because she came clean to them about the safe. While the Frazier brothers were with Darlene, Robinson and Coleman repeatedly took vicious turns, sexually assaulting Mildred Baker and Amanda Merrill. Along with that, they took turns stabbing and torturing McCormick, Hill, and Douglas. When the Frazier brothers returned and told Robinson and Coleman that they located the drugs and the money, they began to kill the remaining hostages, and they were sick and twisted about it. Like Amanda Merrill's throat was slit not once, not twice, but over 3 times. Oh no, they weren't done. They also shot her in the fucking head. Just twisted. Douglas Baker, Hill, and McCormick were also toyed with and tortured one by one in front of the others. After the commotion was over and the thugs left, emergency service personnel arrived and pronounced everyone dead at the scene. All of them but one. Amanda Merrill. I cannot believe it, but she lived. Well, this case is pretty open and shut, right? I mean, well, sort of. I mean, Ronnie Lee Williams, he was in Miami. He was nowhere even near these murders. So, I mean, he never stabbed or shot anyone in this case. Michael Coleman was sentenced to death for his part in the murders. Coleman was convicted of first-degree murder, attempted murder, armed kidnapping, armed sexual battery, armed robbery, armed burglary, and conspiracy to traffic. Bruce Frazier, he was convicted of second-degree murder, attempted murder, armed kidnapping, armed robbery, armed burglary, and conspiracy to traffic. Frazier was sentenced to 30 years for trafficking and 50 years for each of the other convictions. And I don't know, it just seems like that this is kind of his fault. I mean, he's the one that blabbed too much to his girlfriend and set this all in motion. Right now, we're not talking about like Yale Law School kind of law. We're talking about street level mentality. And, you know, when it comes to street code, I mean, he's the one that's responsible. So anyway, Daryl Frazier was convicted and sentenced to life for first-degree murder, second-degree murder, armed kidnapping, armed robbery, armed burglary. He was sentenced to 30 years for second-degree murder and conspiracy to traffic. Now, you think that we'd be done, but we're not. Timothy Robinson, he was convicted of first-degree murder, attempted murder, armed kidnapping, armed sexual battery, oh my God, and armed burglary and conspiracy to traffic. Now, he was sentenced to death for his part of the murders on September 20th, 1989. As far as Ronald Lee Williams, I'm not reading all this, so I'm going to put it up on the screen. I mean, just... I'm just, oh my God. And when I got down to that attempted murder one, Amanda Merrill, you know he was pissed. Now, as you can see from these, he has been sentenced to the death penalty on a lot of these. In my research, though, I found that he's still on death row and he still is appealing a lot of these charges. Now, on July 10th, 1991, Robert Lee Williams filed a direct appeal with the Florida Supreme Court. Now, in that appeal, he argued that the trial judge erred in rebuking defense counsel attempt to impeach witnesses and by admitting evidence regarding 2 previous and unrelated but still attempted murders in Jacksonville, which Williams allegedly ordered. The best way to predict future behavior is to look at past behavior, and I'm looking at a murderer. Anyway,
bitch.
The Florida Supreme Court agreed that the avoid arrest factor and the heinous, atrocious, and cruel factor were unsupported by the record.
Oh my God.
Daddy, chill.
What the hell is even that?
I mean, it does, but it doesn't. I mean, he was not there, but the Florida Supreme Court affirmed that Williams' convictions and sentenced him to death again on 4/22/93. Williams' sentences for attempted murder and kidnapping were vacated and remanded with instructions that he'd be resentenced to 30 years on each count. I mean, holy cow! It is amazing that they were even able to secure those convictions when the guy wasn't even there. I understand the law of parties in Texas, like the case we just covered. There must be something similar in Florida, but yikes. But anyway, this one was a really short one, but still it was pretty freaky. Anyway, that is it for this case. Have you ever heard of this one? This is, I mean, like I was researching Ryan Rice's case and this one came up and I mean, to think what Amanda Merrill went through and all this over dope and money. Are you serious? Oh my God. See, and I don't know. Anyway, this was just a little quick nugget for y'all, but I'm working on another one that's really bad too, but not like this and not like Ryan's case. They're not, I mean, it's bad, but not, yeah. So go watch some cat videos, some puppy videos. Go look at Morty the Misfit on Instagram. He's so sweet. I love him. He's one of my favorite people I follow. Anyway, but just look at some animal videos and get your energy back up because these two last cases I've done back to back are pretty rough. So anyway, that's it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Daddy, chill.